Hey there, lovely people. Welcome back to our channel. We've got a super interesting topic to discuss on our platter today. One that's captured many imaginations, quite like a Wild West adventure living off the grid. Strapping on some solar panels and saying sayonara to the good old utility companies. Quick history lesson. This concept isn't new. In fact, it's as old as civilization itself. Think about our ancestors living in harmony with nature, being totally self-reliant. It's just that in recent years, we've given it a jazzy name and some teachy touches. Interestingly, this resurgence actually took root in rural communities. Let's be real, farmers were practicing sustainable living way before it was cool. They taught us the value of simplicity, resilience, and a life less dependent on the grid. You could say they were the first influencers of the off-grid lifestyle. The old McDonald's were ahead of their time, way before we even knew how to spell Instagram. But here we are, soaking up the wisdom of the country folk, shining a light on a lifestyle for what feels like the first time. So what's nudging people this way, you ask? Well, there's the rising cost of living for starters. Plus, who doesn't get a kick out of reducing their carbon footprint? It's about investing in a simpler, more sustainable way of life where we lessen our dependence on the system and reclaim personal responsibility for our needs. In essence, off-grid living says, hey, I don't need a massive corporation to survive. I've got the sun, the rain, the earth, and my own two hands. So here's to the green thumbs, the tech wizards, the homesteaders, and to all those choosing to take the road less traveled. A different kind of life is possible with off-grid living, one that celebrates self-reliance, sustainability, and deep respect for our dear earth. Oh boy. If we chat about off-grid living, we've got to rewind time a bit. Let's kick things off with the Industrial Revolution. Remember that? We had factories popping up like daisies, and they were hungry for energy, coal, gas, you name it. The more we industrialized, the more we relied on these big shot utilities, right? Public utilities became like the cool kids at the party. Everyone wanted a piece. Then along comes World War II. This was like a huge shakeup, like shaking a soda can and popping it open. Bam! Everything changed. We had all these technological leaps and bounds, but they all demanded so much power. So we witnessed a major uptick in the need for energy. Home life wasn't left out. Picture your grandmother's new electric cooker or the family's first black and white TV. Talk about a power party. Fast forward to the 1970s. Enter the energy crisis. There's long queues at the petrol pumps, electricity prices are skyrocketing, and suddenly the party doesn't seem so fun. And let's not forget about the environmental concerns starting to creep in. The world starts to realize we can't keep binging on energy like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. That's when the idea of off-grid living starts gaining momentum like a snowball rolling down a hill. We're talking living without the umbilical cord of public utilities, being self-sufficient, using the sun and wind like our ancestors did, but with a modern twist. It's fascinating how history has come full circle, isn't it? So there you go, from the Industrial Revolution to the World Wars and rounding off with the energy crisis in the 70s. Each was a stepping stone that's helped shape the idea of off-grid living. It's like a historical puzzle coming together. Quite an adventure, isn't it? Just teetering on the edge of a game, changing lifestyle. You bet! Off-grid living. Think it's a newfangled concept? Not at all, my friend. This green venture has some pretty old roots. Let's reel back to our man Henry David Thoreau. Yeah, Malden guy, his experiment was all about proving how life could be sustained simply and independently, backed by nature. Thoreau sure nailed it, didn't he? Jumping through time, turn up the late 80s, and here comes Richard Perez. Got the mind ticking, you see, and founded the Home Power magazine. This wasn't just some regular page folder, though. An earth-shaking platform. It shared insights on harnessing the sun, wind, and whatnot to power our everyday lives. Groundbreaking stuff for its time, if you ask me. Popularized this whole off-grid lifestyle thing in a big way. Here's a pop quiz. Who are you gonna call when you need a sustainable, self-sufficient, super eco-friendly house? Bet you guessed it, Michael Reynolds. No, champ, not the Ghostbusters. This guy built houses out of beer cans and old tires long before it was a hipstery thing and called them Earthships. A heady mix of conservation, recycling, and architectural genius. Real world examples of what off-grid living could be, literally built from the ground up. See what Thoreau ignited, Perez flamed up, and Reynolds brought it down to earth. No pun intended. So there you go, tirelessly pushing us towards a life less dependent on exhaustible resources. These folks have been true game changers. Maybe it's time to reconsider your utility bills, huh? When people first got wind of off-grid living, oh boy, there were eyebrows raised higher than an old man's suspenders at a hoedown. Folks figured you'd either have to be part tin, foil hat wearing hermit, or part Robinson Crusoe. It was just so alien. I mean, who would willingly disconnect from the public utilities? No TV, no internet, and having to rely on wind turbines or solar panels seemed about as fun as a long car trip with no sea and a flatulent beagle. But somewhere down the line, something funny happened. The numbers started ticking upwards. More and more people started to turn their backs on over. Packed cities, light pollution hiding the stars, and utility bills hitting the doormat with an ominous thud. Instead, they grabbed at the idea of self-reliance with both hands. Talk about your modern-day pioneers out there started to become in here, if ya know what I mean. The outlandish idea wasn't quite so bonkers after all. Maybe it was the constant hum of electricity we learned to tune out, or maybe just the yearning for a simpler life, closer to nature. We started understanding the serene pleasure of warm sunlight streaming through a panel instead of scorching asphalt. Who wouldn't want a life outside of the concrete maze, dancing to the tune of your own renewable energy sources? Funny enough, off-grid life started to change from being seen as a survivalist tactic to a viable lifestyle choice for those who value sustainable living. It's like trading a buttoned-up suit for some comfortable overalls and feeling more you than ever before. It happened slowly and then all at once. Suddenly, living off the grid wasn't something that folks did when they ran away to the woods. It became something that people did because it made sense, because it felt right, and because, quite frankly, what's cooler than harnessing the power of the sun? Let me tell you, the times, they surely are changing. Renewable energy sources have come a long, long way. Remember back in the day when we saw a solar panel, we'd gawk? Now they're as common as apple pie. Affordable technology allowed us to harness the power of the sun, the wind, even the sea to provide reliable energy. And can we talk about versatility? You could live atop a mountain, in a forest, on an island. It doesn't matter where you put your stake down. There's always a way to use nature's power. Next in the lineup, let's chat about the swell of sustainable housing. It's not just about tree hugging anymore. It's about being practical. And let me tell you, the advance of eco-friendly homes is something else. Picture this. A house made of recycled materials, kicking it in the shade of your solar apples, using natural light and ventilation to reduce energy usage. And with designs morphing with the landscape, these homes are open-ended invitations to live in harmony with nature. All right, now electric stoves and refrigerators that run purely on solar energy, you better believe it. This isn't stuff out of a sci-fi movie, it's reality. Advancements in off-grid appliance systems have been beefing up energy-efficient dishwashers, washing machines, you name it. Appliances not only run on low power, they conserve water and do a stellar job too. The evolution of tech in this area is saying, hey, you want to live off the land, do your thing, and keep your cold drinks and clean clothes. No problem, I got you covered. Life beyond the grid isn't about depriving ourselves, but rather integrating the natural resources out there with smart technology. It's about kicking back, living green, and having our piece of paradise without giving up the modern comforts. With the advance of renewable energy, the rise of sustainable houses and energy, efficient appliances, we're all set to unplug from the system and get our freedom on. You know, going off grid isn't just about living that outdoorsy life in a cool cabin. It's also a surprisingly good move for your wallet. Adopting renewable energy like solar panels or wind turbines means saying goodbye to those pesky monthly utility bills. Investing in these technologies seems hefty initially, but heck, the returns over time sure do make it path increasingly trodden. The savings in the long run, but hold your horses. Governments can be a real stick in the mud when you're trying to live off OffGrid. Laws and regulations vary wildly by place, so don't quit your daytime job just yet. Whether it's building permits for your property or restrictions on solar panel installations, always check up on local laws. It may feel like a slog dealing with all the legal mumbo jumbo, but trust me, it'll save you a ton of headaches down the line. Making the leap into off-grid living ain't just about legal or economic stuff. It's a complete overhaul of your lifestyle. This ain't something you just do on a whim. You need to be ready for some sweeping changes. Imagine swapping Netflix for stargazing, or your ease on-demand hot showers for quickly heated water in a pot. Sounds exciting, right? It sure is, but it also takes a lot of effort and a fair bit of compromise. It's not for everyone, but those who do choose this way of life totally dig it. Now, wasn't that a real ride? Got your adrenaline pumped? Well, then hold on tight because we got more mine. Blowing off-grid content coming your way. If you got even an ounce of value out of this, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Cheers and see you on the greener side.